Hi there guys, it's Strix here bringing you another update video, and we're going to go over the updates to Oldschool RuneScape on June 2nd, 2016. If you guys enjoy this week's video and want to see more of these, be sure to let me know by leaving a comment and a like. Now, the first thing I'd like to talk about this week is the Woodcutting Guild. This piece of content was the majority of this week's game update. The Woodcutting Guild is located in the southern Hosidius region of Zeah. There are a few ways to get to the guild, and these include the Xerix Talisman, a POH tab, spirit trees, and the new Lovakengj minecarts, which we'll talk about later. Once you're at the guild, you'll need 75% Hosidius favor and 60 woodcutting to enter. These requirements aren't that steep in my opinion, and the Woodcutting Guild should be pretty easily accessible to most players. There are a good many rewards within the Woodcutting Guild, and the better ones are yew trees, an abundance of magic trees, 2 new level 90 requirement trees called Redwood trees, a sawmill, and ents are located in a dungeon below the guild. There are also 2 banks in the guild for quick storage of your logs. One is located near the yew and magic trees, and the other is in a dungeon with the ents. Now, this update has caused a bit of controversy in the skilling community, as is to be expected with any major update to skilling methods. Most of this criticism is aimed at the Redwood trees, so I'll start here with my thoughts. The facts of the matter are, Redwood trees require level 90 woodcutting and reward you with 60 to 70,000 experience per hour if you're cutting and banking the logs yourself. Since they are the most profitable logs in the game at the moment, I assume the majority of players are banking them. Speaking of profitability, at the time of making this video, Redwood logs are worth about 1,700 gold each, and they're currently only used for firemaking experience. The experience per hour of burning Redwood logs is somewhere between 480 and 500,000 firemaking experience per hour, and this requires level 90 firemaking, but that's pretty fast. So there is some demand for these logs despite their single utility currently. And that means that this method of woodcutting is around 250 to 300,000 gold per hour, which is nearly twice what magic logs are worth per hour. The closest comparison to other skills is fishing dark crabs. It's a high requirement, moderate XP per hour in relation to the skill's best XP rates, and it's fairly AFKable, dark crabs if you have the diary of course, and it's decently profitable. Dark crabs more so than redwoods. I mean, there's a big difference, of course, because you can die in the wilderness while you're doing dark crabs. It requires bait. I mean, fishing and woodcutting aren't really the same skill, but it's probably the closest comparison I could come up with in RuneScape. Redwoods aren't going to change the best XP rates for woodcutting, but it's still a fairly AFK method for training this skill past 90. Redwood trees have a lower falling down rate compared to other trees in the game as well. When you cut a tree, there is a chance that when you receive a log, the tree will fall down and you have to cut a new tree. For most trees in the game, this is 1 in 8. Redwood trees came out initially at 1 in 16, which is twice the rate of any other tree in the game, and it was quite often that you could actually get 5-minute AFK logged out of the game while cutting redwood trees and still having not felled the tree. So this chance was lowered to 1 in 11, and I think that's where most of the controversies come from. A lot of people thought Jagex was giving into the high-level skilling community calling for nerfs, but the profitability hasn't changed and the experience per hour hasn't changed, merely the skill is just slightly less AFK. Overall, I think redwood trees are fairly well balanced considering their requirements, the utility of the logs, and the nature of woodcutting as a skill. Woodcutting is a fairly AFK skill if you don't use tick manipulation methods for the best experience rates. I might catch a bit of flack for this, but I think the number one question about them was their advantage in AFK ability compared to other trees in the game, and that concern has been slightly addressed. So overall, I think redwoods are in a good place. Some feedback I've seen is that it might be prudent to connect the 2 platforms so that you can access more logs since they are now less AFK. Now, redwood trees aren't the only reward in the Woodcutting Guild that's worth mentioning. It's also one of the best places in the game to cut and bank yew and magic logs, if that's your thing. There's also a sawmill, which is faster than using the one in Varrock, but it's slower than using the Castle Wars teleport method or your butler. I might use a sawmill personally because it's just easy to use. It's relaxing, and I don't have to fiddle with dueling rings or wait for that stupid balloon animation to finish or use too many stamina potions. It's just nice and relaxing. The dungeon below the guild contains the same ents that are found out in the wilderness as well as a bank. So if you thought ents were pretty cool, but you didn't want to do them because of the danger in the wilderness, well, now you have an option for killing ents. They're really great for getting yew logs, so it might be worth considering. Speaking of ents, the ents in the wilderness have had their drops doubled. That's right, you now get 2 noted logs from each cut. That means this is actually a pretty viable method of making profit, as long as you're okay with being in a multi-combat area of the wilderness. Here's a picture that a user from Reddit posted of an hour spent at the new doubled ents. It's up to you if you think that's profitable. Now, next up, here's an update I'm very excited for. There are now minecarts for transport on Zeah. I'm always really happy for more transport methods around Zeah. It's a huge landmass, and it currently requires so much running around to get anywhere. The requirements to use the cart are that you have 65% Lovakengj favor and have completed a mini quest for Miriam. Miriam is a dwarf that is located in the southern part of the Lovakengj area. It is 50 coins per ride on the minecart, or you can pay 100k for infinite uses on the minecarts. Personally, I just paid 100k. The minecarts are particularly useful for accessing the far reaches of Kourend from the docks where you start if you choose to access Zeah from Port Sarim. Notably, the minecart in the Hosidius area is very close to the Woodcutting guild. The fairy ring in the Arceus area is also very close to the minecarts, so that might actually be the best method of getting around Zeah if you don't have a Xerx's talisman or don't want to use your charges. Overall, I'm a really huge fan of this edition, and I'd love to see more things like this on Zeah. Quickly, I'd like to cover two of the smaller, but more important changes this week. First, the construction skill cape now allows you to teleport to the Kourend player-owned house portal. This seems like a nice free way that you can access the farming patch on Kourend, given that you have 99 construction. It's expensive, but it's the best at doing what it does. And the last change I'd like to cover this week is that low-level Slayer tasks have once again been changed. Green dragons have been lowered from 65 plus combat to 52 plus combat, and trolls have been changed to 60 plus combat required. This is all assuming that you even have the combat level option checked with your Slayer Master. Apparently there's still a lot of tweaking that needs to be done with low level Slayer. I know personally I had a tough time with tasks like trolls, bronze dragons, and kilowatts before I got to using Neve. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's update and my thoughts about them. If you thought the video was pretty good, then please share it with your friends on social media. It helps give me a motivation to make these videos every single week. That's going to conclude the video, guys. I will see you next time.